Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing to take a look at the next week's slate. Heading down to the SEC as Arkansas heads on the road to play the Florida Gators. And this is a Florida Gators program that heading into the season, I think if you asked a lot of Florida fans, you're 5-3 heading into a home game against Arkansas with a chance to get to 6 wins in early November. You've added to the 2024 recruiting class. I think a lot of Florida Gator fans would take that a lot of different ways. And especially when you say, yeah, Graham Mertz is looking like one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. And I get not a great performance against the Georgia Bulldogs, especially what was reflected on the scoreboard. It felt like it just snowballed a little bit, right? When you don't get that fourth down, the next drive you give up a strip sack, and then the next drive you give up a punt for punt block for a safety. This Florida team, I think that could have gone a lot of different ways. I'm not saying the Florida Gators would win that game. That being said, I think it would have been a little bit of a closer matchup. For me, like, it's frustrating. I get it as a fan. You want to win those games. I still think the Florida Gators are on a pretty solid track, especially this year with the expectations being so low heading into the year. Really excited to get into what could be a massive matchup for the Florida Gators to get to 6 wins. Before we get into it, again, just want to say, thank you to you guys. The amount of support for all of these game breakdowns, it truly does mean a lot. If you do enjoy the content, you want to support the fellas, consider subscribing to the channel. More importantly, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section, whether you agree with my evaluation on that Florida game or not. Want to chop it up with you guys. That's the best part about doing it. And without further ado, let's get into this matchup. And I want to start with this Arkansas offense going up against the Florida Gators defense that we've just seen two different versions all year from this Florida team, right? You see a version of Florida where they're playing smothering football, scheming up blitzes, playing really aggressive. And then you've seen kind of some old Florida Gators defense where they haven't been as aggressive. And Austin Armstrong, a young defensive coordinator in the SEC for his first time, I think this Florida Gators defense has improved. Now you're looking for a little bit more consistency from this unit. Arkansas's offense, really not much to like about what you're seeing. There's a reason they fired Dan Enos last week. They want to run the football. They just can't. And they don't. I think the biggest problem with this Arkansas offensive line, and Razorback fans, we've talked about it, they don't have those guys up front to reestablish the line of scrimmage. Right? You take a look. They want to run the ball. 54% of their snaps are rushing the football. 2.9 yards per carry. That's 120th in the country. And you turn on the film, you see it. Like, Arkansas is not moving and reestablishing the line of scrimmage. They're not opening up run lanes. And the running back play, quite frankly, hasn't been that great either. And when an Arkansas team can't run the football, they kind of lose that identity of being those road graders. I think that offense has in turn really struggled, only putting up 22 points per game. It's a bad recipe when you can't run the football and then you can't pass protect. So you're losing on first and second down. You're getting behind the sticks, third and long. This Arkansas offensive line has given up 13.2% of KJ's dropbacks have resulted in sacks. And so you see that recipe, and that's just not a good recipe to be playing very winning football on the offensive side. You look at Florida's defense, I think there's two keys. One, hold Arkansas, stop Arkansas's rushing attack, get after KJ Jefferson and keep him in that pocket. And if you can do those things, Arkansas does not have many answers to that. What I'm looking at here, one, hopefully Shamar James getting right at. Really unfortunate that you have your best linebacker heading into the biggest game of the season go down with a knee injury, and he's playing clearly not at 100%. What I'm looking at, Florida, you got to commit to stopping the run. And when you get into those third and long situations, unleash Princely U. And he is the best pass rusher. And I get a kind of polarizing figure for Florida Gator fans. His numbers rushing the passer have been some of the best in the SEC conference. I mean, 22 hurries on the year, a pass rush win rate of 27.9%. This is a guy that one of the best pass rushers in the SEC against a really struggling Arkansas offensive line, especially at the tackle position. Princely U's got to have a big game. The second key to this game is keeping KJ Jefferson in the pocket. I mean, when Arkansas has had success on the offensive side of the ball, it is KJ Jefferson playing hero ball. And this is a guy that's 250 pounds, really hard to bring down. Scooby Williams, Shamar James, however you decide to spy and keep KJ from using his legs, those guys have to be having a very good game. And if you can do that, again, this Arkansas offense has not inspired much confidence in terms of moving the football, putting points on the board. Now, flipping the sides, Arkansas's defense has been solid, right? They're stopping the run pretty well, 3.8 yards per carry. They got a nice set of linebackers who get downhill, go sideline to sideline, can get after the passer, sacking the quarterback 11.2% of the time. Landon Jackson has been phenomenal for the Razorbacks. They do a really nice job scheming up blitzes as well. The big bugaboo for Arkansas, and quite frankly, why they have the record they do, sitting at 2-6, 0-5 in conference play, 8.8 yards per pass. They're giving up a lot of explosives through the air. And the secondary is solid. It's just they're giving up those explosive plays, and it's really hard to play good defense when you're consistently giving up those chunk plays through the air. Looking at Florida, can you take advantage of that? And this is when we've seen Graham Mertz and this Florida Gators offense really be successful, they're letting him off the leash. And we said this a couple weeks ago. What is the key for the Florida Gators to have that explosive offense that we know they can have? Let Graham Mertz cook. There's not been a reason to let Graham Mertz be just a game manager. I think he's proven that he can be a little bit more. You're having some pass catchers emerge, right? Ricky Pearsall, I'm an apologist for him. Like I was out on Ricky, not out on Ricky Pearsall. I didn't believe he could be a wide receiver one at the SEC level. He has looked that way. Eugene Wilson, get him the football in any ways possible. You take a look at what Florida did against Georgia, a beautiful schemed up first drive where they kind of go down and just kind of carve up one of the best defenses in the country in Georgia. And then after that, when a few things didn't go their way, it feels like they put the leash back on and they weren't kind of trying to hit those explosive plays. Graham Mertz only attempted 4 passes, 20 plus yards down the field against Georgia. Again, going back to that South Carolina game, I believe Graham Mertz attempted 12. Like he's got to be a guy. One, you take a look at the schematics of this Florida offense, it gets a lot harder to deal with when you're making that defense respect you attacking that deeper third. And then two, Graham Mertz, they have some playmakers to do that. Go let Graham Mertz be that guy. Thought the run game was actually pretty solid. The only gripe I have, or I got a few gripes, but one of them is the offensive line and pass pro. Again, going up against an Arkansas pass rush that can get after it. Damian George, he was barbecue chicken. Like he is a liability at that tackle position. Whether it's another guy coming in, whether it's chipping him with the tight end or a running back, you have to give some sort of help to Damian George because it's really hard to run an offense when you have a tackle that's getting beat as quickly as Damian George was sometimes beaten. These when he gets beat that bad, that's how those strip sacks happen. That's how those huge negative plays happen where you're killing drives. You have to do something to address that portion of the game because you can't just let Damian George get beaten and produce strip sacks and negative plays. Get the ball to Eugene Wilson. Let Graham Mertz cook. The Florida Gators have the bones to have a solid offense. Now, getting to the pick here, Arkansas heading on the road, 6-point dogs. I like the Florida Gators here, and I get a really tough performance against Georgia. I think, one, they can bounce back. Two, you look at Arkansas heading on the road. Offense is struggling in massive ways. There's not a lot of confidence I have for Arkansas to continually and consistently move the ball against this Florida defense. I think this is a great opportunity for Austin Armstrong to get really aggressive against an offensive line that has struggled meaningfully with weapons. They don't really have many weapons that are making you striking fear into you down the field. Austin Armstrong, get aggressive, bring it to this Arkansas offense, and Florida on offense. Like, let Graham Mertz cook a little bit. I think Graham Mertz is a very solid quarterback. He's been playing very good football. Go out and try to win a football game. And if you can do that, I think Florida's the better team here. I mean, there's not much to like about what Arkansas has trotted out on the offensive side of the ball. I'll take the Florida Gators to cover the 6 points at home. And again, you're sitting here 5-3 early November with a chance to get to 6 wins, a number that many people in the preseason didn't think they could get to. I'll take the Florida Gators 6.5. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. Again, if you do enjoy the content, you want to support the fellas, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys rocking with us, and we'll talk to y'all later.